This video brought to you by EquestrianCoach.com, the world's leading online video training site for equestrians.
Hi, I'm Alice Debany Clero. I'm here at Emirates Equestrian Center in Dubai, and I've been training the Dubai jumping team for 13 years now, and I want to let you know my road to how I got here. I was born in Bedford, New York. I am the ninth of 10 children. My mother was a professional jumping rider. She was the reserve on the U.S. team at the National Horse Show, either 1952 or 53. My mother cut her career short to marry my father, and they built the stables in Bedford, New York. My father built the barn. He built the house. He was a jack of all trades horse person. He could train a race horse. He could jump a horse. And they just had their 10 kids, one a year, and I am the ninth. I'm the one of two girls, and there are 8 boys. They ran a riding school, a humble riding school in Bedford, and so I grew up on a pony, and that was really nice for me. I could either ride or not ride. No one ever forced me to do it. But I definitely was attracted to that from a very young age. My sister Marie also rode at a high level, my brother John. The rest of them actually had an aversion to horses. And I enjoyed a really well-rounded education as a child. I did a bit of eventing, we did dressage, we did vaulting, rode bareback all summer, and only put my shoes on to put my feet in stirrups. We did pony clubbing, we took care of our own horses, and then as I got older, my mother sent me to other people, and rode with Barney Ward and Chris Ward when I was 10, and then when I was 15, I got to ride with Bill Cooney and Frank Madden, a little bit with George, but he was phasing out of juniors then, so Bill and Frank really helped educate me and polish me, because I needed some serious polish. I could run and jump, but you know, they put a lot of sophistication into me. Then I did a lot of catch riding. We didn't have a lot of money, so I rode the stoppers and the in-gate problems, and they educated me a lot. My mom was always nearby. She was watching. She was non-invasive. She always let the trainer do their job, and she was always there for me. And so I got to do the equitation with Bill and Frank. I was 3rd in the medal finals and 5th in the McClay finals in my best efforts. And catch riding a lot of junior jumpers. My mom did scrape together the money to buy a really good junior jumper from Barney Ward called Luger. And he put me on the map at age 14. And after his retirement, I did some catch riding for Anthony D'Ambrosio. He taught me a tremendous amount, and I did some grooming for him to pay off lessons. And then Barney Ward called me up again when I was about 17 and offered a job for me to be his rider. McLean was still young. He was still on ponies. And so I took that job, which absolutely made my career. I wouldn't be where I am today had I not taken that job. It was a very hard job, demanding. There were very few days off. You probably rode 8 to 10 horses a day, and Barney liked to jump big, so you got to jump meter 50, meter 60 every single day. And so during that job, I met Paul Greenwood, who had bought Old Salem Farm, and he was actually riding with Barney and buying some horses for himself. He wanted to get into the sport himself. He was not a beginner, but a very amateur rider. And I was 17 at the time, and Barney didn't really feel like teaching him, and he'd send me out and say, go teach Paul. So Paul was actually my very first student. And 2 things happened. I found out that I loved teaching, like my mother did. I didn't know how much I'd like teaching, and that Paul and I really got along. And as I didn't have a father, Paul acted like a father to me, and we became very close. And he told me that if I ever needed a job, that I had one at Old Salem Farm. And So Barney and I had a smooth transition at the end of my junior years. We went our separate ways, so I called Paul Greenwood up and took a job. I had exactly one day off between my two jobs, and I started at Old Salem, where I worked for about 7 years, and I did a tremendous amount of teaching there. Catherine Birdsall had the natural, where she won the World Cup final in 1987 and was on the gold medal team in World Championships, and was the most famous horse in the world. He had an injury that they didn't think he'd come back from, and Catherine ended up quitting her job. And to my great surprise, Paul gave the natural to me, and he said, if the natural comes back, he's yours. And I was 22 years old, and I think I nearly lost consciousness when he told me that. And the natural did come back, and I did 6 months of fitness work with him before we went to Florida. And he looked like $1,000,000 again. And I got to ride with Conrad Homefeld, which was my dream. And Conrad and I got along great. And so I had 3 great years at the natural. I'd say most notably, I won the inaugural Queen Elizabeth Cup in Calgary, where Queen Elizabeth herself was there, presented me the trophy, and I had to curtsy to her and follow all the rest of the protocol. I also won the World Cup Grand Prix in New York that year, and a couple of other lesser Grand Prix. And that horse put me on the map internationally, and did my First Nations Cups with him. That's where I met Bernie Traurig in 1990. We were both on the same team in 1990 in Calgary. And after he retired, I decided to go on my own, even though Paul and I still remain very close, as with Robin also. But I had a real desire to travel, and I needed time to do that. And working for Old Salem, okay, I worked 6 days a week and got 2 weeks off a year. And I really, really wanted the freedom to travel. I was very attracted to going to Europe. So I started my own business, freelancing, and I got to Europe as soon as I had enough money to buy a ticket. I did some friendly international competitions, and I got connected to get invited to a friendly international competition in Cairo, Egypt, in 1993 or 4. And you rode borrowed horses, and I met all kinds of famous people. Hugo Simon was there, the Fuchs were there, Katie and Henri Prudhomme were there, and an older German rider wanted to hire me, and I wanted to work in Europe, and so I accepted a job in Germany, in Hamburg, in around 1994 or 5, and on the way back from checking out that job, I was flying back to New York. I had to stop in Amsterdam to switch planes, and I met my husband at the gate in Amsterdam, just kind of out of the blue. He just walked up to me to speak to me, and we ended up, I still moved to Germany, because I told him that's what I was doing, so we couldn't get very serious. And anyway, I moved to Germany. He asked me to marry him on the phone while I was there. Wasn't tremendously happy with the job anyway, and so I came home. We got married and in 1995, and we have 3 children now, and I still manage to do my sport with a man married outside of the sport, which is a unique thing to juggle. And I met Her Royal Highness Princess Haya in 1998 in Bremen, Germany, very briefly. And she was with Paul Schockenmuller then. And then in 2000, I went to the Spanish tour, the Sunshine Tour. And we just so happened to be staying in the same hotel. And she was working with Hans Horn at the time. And we started having coffee in the mornings, and we actually just became friends. And at the end of the circuit, she asked me if Katie Prudhomme and I could help train her. And because I worked loosely with Katie over the last 2 years before that. And so Katie and I were going to do that together. And so Princess Aya moved to Paris to work with me, and we got along very well, and it worked very quickly. And she ended up jumping San Patriano Grand Prix clear and got an invitation to the Sydney Olympics. So off we went to the Sydney Olympics. Katie met us there, and she was the first Arab woman to jump show jumping discipline, and I'm very honored to have been part of that. And so at the end of that, she stayed on with me, and we continued for 2 more years. And she went off to marry His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum, and we stayed in very close touch as we were very good friends. And she ended up hiring me in 2005. She asked me if I would fly to Dubai every 2 weeks from Paris to teach a team of 4 boys over here. And my children were very small then. One was 6 and my twins were 3. And I couldn't imagine leaving them every 2 weeks, every month. But my husband was right on board, and he said, absolutely, take that job. And so I called her right back and took that job, and I couldn't be happier. I'm now in my 13th season doing this, and I'm so happy to know about this culture. I love my riders. I've been with them now. I feel like I've half raised them myself. My one rider named Abdullah Al-Mari most notably was on the winning Barcelona team that won the Nations Cup there. And that took the world by surprise. And hopefully we're on to Weg with his horse Samba Dubai that we produced. We bought her at age 4. And we produced her together, and she's now 11, and she's just hitting her prime. And I'm very excited to accompany him and the rest of the UAE team. That's the chef is Carl Schneider, and he's doing a great job with their team. And I've got 3 other riders that are fully capable of riding that level. They just don't have that horse at that level yet. Ahmed Falakanaz, Omar Khoury, and Arif Ahmed. They're all coming along, and I'm really proud of the team that I've produced. I like that I think I've touched the country in a way as far as the American style goes, that I've been able to spread that word, from George and Conrad and the people I've worked with. And now I've done some work with Bernie Traurig, and it's funny how much in line we are with our ideas. And I'm proud of the work I've gotten to do, and I couldn't be happier with the job and the opportunity I've gotten, and I think I have the best job in the world.